This plant is Prunus Caroliniana. It is Carolina laurel cherry, and just basics on it. It's an evergreen large shrub. It can get as high as 40 feet. I've certainly never seen it that large, but in its native situation, apparently it can get that large. I live in Northern California in a hot inland valley. Our temperatures range from the high 90s during the summer. We have low humidity, usually in the teens most of the summer, and our low temperatures usually don't go below 25 degrees Fahrenheit. Um, we do get colder than that, and the book says that this can handle down to 0 degrees, so it can handle a bit of cold. It's an evergreen shrub, as I said, and you're going to see some different colors of the foliage in here. This is a nice deep green that you're seeing here, but you'll also see where it's a bit chlorotic. And one of the things I read was that alkaline soils can cause a bit of chlorosis. I've also found that that can be a nitrogen deficiency. So, a little nitrogen. This was newly planted when it was as green as you see here, and undoubtedly the nursery was giving it some nitrogen to help it along. So as a design element, and the other thing too is these are very drought tolerant. These can take 5 to 6 months of little or no water once they're established. These are used by Caltrans in Northern California, and once they're established, like you see here, they get no water, and we can go 5 to 6 months with no rain. And these are in full sun in a hot inland valley. So nice evergreen shrub that can take a lot of neglect and do just fine. What you see here though is where it's been used in more of a typical landscape situation, and it's a tall hedge. I'd say this is a 12 to 13 foot high hedge. It's only about 24 to 30 inches wide, and it's been kept this way for a good 15 to 20 years. So as you can see, very effective for that type of use, and I've seen it used that way a lot in design. I've used it myself behind my swimming pool. It's been there for 5 years, and I really like the nice simple green foliage that still doesn't look overtly pruned. It's kind of loose, so it's a little less structured than a privet, and it doesn't really create a mess. Now I read that this can have it can have issues with creating a mess with the flowers and the berry. Mine produce minimal flowers in the early spring that are these white flowers, but other than that, I don't get a mess. I don't get any berries on mine. It's not to say you wouldn't, but I've had these a long time, and I've also observed them on many designs that I've used them on, and the berry production in our area does not seem to be a big issue. But if you're concerned about it, keep that away from paved areas when you're deciding where you're going to use it. Typically, these are away from paved areas anyway, because I use them as a backdrop where they're behind a swimming pool wall and used as a screen along a property line. You usually don't have paving in those areas anyway. These can be deer resistant. I've seen them used in deer areas, but I don't think that's 100%. And if you're going to use these in deer areas, test grow or put one out first before you buy a whole bunch of them. And also I would say always use more mature plants when you're able to if you've got a deer situation, because whatever tastes bad about them will be more concentrated in a more mature plant than a young one. And that's what I can tell you. In terms of irrigation, I use flood bubblers on these. I've also seen them established on drip irrigation. I would tell you better drainage is a good idea where you can get that. I've seen these get kind of woody and start dropping leaves, and it seemed to be related to drainage. So I'd say these would prefer some better drainage. And that is Prunus Caroliniana, very effective narrow upright evergreen shrub, and also used as a small standard tree. As you can see here, this is a fairly young one, but the one you'll see in a minute, I see these get about 12 to 15 feet tall by 6 to 10 feet wide, and for a residential application, that's a pretty key size of an evergreen tree that can handle colder temperatures. Most of your evergreen trees get much larger, so consider those if they're available as a standard form in that way. This one here to me has been over pruned, but it just gives you a sense of scale and how large they get as they get more mature. And this is in a lawn location. So that's Prunus Caroliniana, Carolina laurel cherry.